Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be painting my Nurgle champion, and I'm actually going to be painting the skin on him. So I'm just going to show you how I do that. So all I've done is I basically pinned him up and gave him a primer of Mechanica Standard Grey. Here are the skin tones I'm going to go for. These are going to be the main bit, and then we're going to add bits to it. Got Bugman's Glow for the base. Cadian Flesh Tone, one of our layers. And our main highlight for it is going to be Kelsive Flesh. So we're going to tinker with this. We might add some extra washes and bits and bobs and mix in between, but those are our main guys. So I've got the light source directly above at the moment, and I'm going to see where the light is hitting. So his main belly is protruding quite a lot. It's going to have a lot of highlights to it. Same with his arms, a little bit on his neck. You've got the skin folds on the back as well, on the arm, so you can kind of see how it hits on the shoulder. So you can roughly kind of see where the light's going to be hitting, and we're going to try and recreate that with the skin. Cool, so let's get down to it. So let's chuck this Bugman's glow down. So don't worry about being too neat now, guys. We just want to just cover the main layer. If it gets on anything, any armor or weapon bits, don't worry, we're going to paint it later, that's fine. So I gave it probably about 2 or 3 kind of quite thin coats and slowly built that up. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this Doom Ball Brown to about 4 parts water, kind of making it into like a bit of a wash. And then I'm just going to wash the whole model. So it's going to act a little bit like a wash, but it's not going to give any kind of, adverse kind of effects, any kind of glosses, any kind of matte bits to it. It's just going to literally cover it. The pigment's going to set. Try and make sure that you cover a whole segment at a time. Sorry, it's kind of a bit blurry, guys. As you might get certain staining otherwise. So cover his whole tummy as one segment, cover his whole arms as another segment, and then just let it dry. Then when that's done, we can come back to it with our Bugman's Glow again. Cool, so now that's all dried. You can see it's kind of like picked out a little bit of the details, a little bit of the shade. We're going to go back with the Bugman's Glow now. And we're going to repaint all the surface areas, leaving the darkest recesses that we basically washed in with our... what colour was it again now? Doom Ball Brown, that's it. Cool, so all I've done is gone over the whole entire model, made sure I've basically covered every part of it apart from the recess now. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and position my highlights on the higher part of each of the muscles, fat rolls, bits and bobs. And then I'm going to work backwards into the shade. So I'm going to make sure there's a lot more kind of pigment, generally covering the top half of each part. And then I'm basically going to slightly kind of feather it out. I'm going to the other side. So at the first few stages we do now, you can be a little bit more kind of heavy-handed with it. And then when we become a bit more finer with the highlights, we're generally going to be focusing on the top sides. So even though you can see underneath the arm there wouldn't really be much light there at all, we still want to add a little bit of this slight highlight colour to it, because it's going to otherwise look just unpainted. So again, I'm going to try and get the camera to work. Cool, hopefully you can see it, guys. Everything's basically been painted with our original Bugman's Glow, and basically, you see, there you go, cool. So I basically made sure that I just had more pigment on the bits where I wanted more lighter, and less on the bits you can see kind of just around the belly. I've kind of brought that up. I've kind of picked out where I want some shadows to be, so like on the shoulder, on the leg, on the back there as well. So I've left some bits potentially darker. The middle part of the leg here will get more light. The bits underneath the cloth and underneath the axe will get a lot less. I still highlighted it and basically built up a series of lines coming from that, but the main actual full colour is on these highlight bits. So I'm going to keep doing this now. Let me go back and focus. I'm going to basically do it with our our next colour. So, our next colour is going to be a 50-50 mix of Acadian Flesh Tone and Bugman's. And what I've done is I've basically just highlighted all the areas again. So you can see it's a bit more now kind of popping out. So on the shoulder it's coming out a bit more now. In between, like underneath the arm there, I basically left it now. And what I did is just watered it down slightly. Got a point on the brush. And then I found out roughly where the last highlight was, and I just worked up from that slightly. And because there's a little bit of water in the paint now as well, guys, it's just gonna give it. It's not like a glaze. It's gonna give it a slightly kind of like smoother transition to it. And then I basically painted all the highlighted section up here, all the bright bit that would get hit with light, and left all the shadows. Same again, that little lump there I basically highlighted, left the underside, middle part of the fountain's back, done. And we're just going to keep working with this, guys. We're just going to keep working up on colours. So obviously nothing's really happened so far, it's just kind of fairly basic stuff, but it's going to help that initial transition. So when you start to put brighter colours on it, it's going to make it pop a bit more. So now, it's using a Acadian Flesh Tone by itself. You can do exactly the same thing again. Gonna pick out the top of the shoulder. See, now you can see the transition on the arm a bit more now, from where the dark kind of underside is, which originally that's just our Bugman's Glow, so it's only like one colour behind. With that, I'm just going to go from the midsection of the highlight and work up. Same again, slightly watering down the paint, and basically rolling it and brushing most of it off on my thumb, so you don't have it pulling anywhere. So this is what it looks like now with the Acadian Flesh Tone. Same again, I'm basically just always rechecking where the light spots are going to be hitting the model. The next step now, unsurprisingly, is going to be a 50-50 mix of these two. So even though we had 3 initial colours, we've made we're going to make about 5 different stages from them, or 6 or 7 even, by mixing those mid-tones in between. It's just going to make sure we got like a really smooth transition, so you're not really seeing even many brush strokes. Same thing is going to happen, guys. We're basically going to paint another notch up on that highlight, but now I'm going to focus on really quite the bright areas. So the bit of his leg now, you start to see it's kind of building up where the light would hit a bit more. Same again, top of the shoulder. These steps are generally quite quick, because you're going to be painting less and less at the surface area, but also you want to kind of take your time, because these are the bits where the mistakes will show up the most. Now, don't worry if you do make any mistakes. So again, this is the next step again, made it a bit more brighter. You can always glaze it back down again to darken it if you do make any kind of mistakes. It's not too bad. The Calcium Flash. Now I'm basically just going to use very small amounts on the highlights everywhere. I'm not going to water it down to a glaze. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it, just to make the paint flow a bit more comfortable. Again, let's put it on the brush and say on this bit on the belly here. Generally, it's only the very fine middle segment that I'm going to use. And because we've done all those previous stages in between, it's just going to blend in really easily. And it's just going to literally brighten up the belly. Same again, top side of the pecs there, neck, shoulder will be done, hands. So that's it, guys. That's the finished skin. Now obviously you can add all the saws and bits and bobs, any colour you want, but that's generally how I built up the skin for this guy, and also made sure that the transitions are quite smooth. You can add any kind of washes now, like Drucci Violet or any kind of blues, or even go back and darken some bits with Bugman's Glow until you kind of feel happy with it. Add some, Lamia Medium to the washes to help kind of thin them down slightly, because you're not going to stain too quickly then as well. Or also go back with your Doom Ball and just darken up any little bits you want done. So hopefully it gave a better understanding of how I do skin and how I try to keep it really smooth as well. Sorry about the focus, guys. But hopefully you learned something. If you need any info or any questions, just leave it in the comments. Take care.